Hello YouTube, Big Apple here. Today I'm going to talk to you about the next part of the AR15 Buyer's Guide about the upper receiver and the handguard. So which upper receiver do you want? Do you want a carry handle or a flat top? Do you want to mount optics or do you want it to look good? So the original AR15 upper receivers, when it was designed as the M16 and the AR15 by Armalite, had a carry handle right here built into the upper. That way soldiers in Vietnam could carry it around easily just by grabbing that. I guess they didn't have slings or something. I don't really know why, but that's how it was designed. I think a flat top gives you much more options for optics because you don't have to raise your cheek as far off of this. And you can also mount optics directly to this rail here. Some carry handle fixed uppers have rail sections on the top, but then you have to get your cheek way off of this cheek pad here. You know, where your cheek goes on the stock, and then you have to worry about that. You also get a lot more muzzle chamber to optic offset here. The longer this distance, the higher you're gonna have to raise your cheek, the more you're gonna have to compensate for that. I also have a flat top upper on my 20-inch, as you see here, with this scope base and this scope. So I think that the carry handle one looks classic, but then you don't get nearly as much versatility in mounting optics. Do you need a dust cover and a forward assist? So if you've looked at a rifle like the Smith & Wesson M&P 15 Sport, it has no dust cover and no forward assist. The dust cover is this piece, which you can manually close to prevent dust from getting there. And when the bolt moves, whether you pull it back or it fires, it'll open on its own. And then the forward assist is this piece here, which is made for if your bolt is slightly out of battery, you can push it forward with your forward assist because it'll hit one of these little serrations built into the bolt carrier and push the bolt forward. Original M16s that had a lot of trouble with fouling in Vietnam, they would beat the crap out of those things to get that bolt carrier to slam home so that they could get that round off. Are they necessary? No. Do they add weight? Yeah, but not a lot, and they add it at a good balance point. It's between both of your arms. It's not forward weight, which is the worst place for it to be, in my opinion. Handguard. This is easily the most misunderstood part of the AR-15. Do you need a quad rail handguard, even if it's free floating or not or whatever, it could add accuracy? I think they're unnecessary and they're heavy because they add forward weight and they add bulk. Are you actually going to use all of that rail space? So a quad rail handguard has 4 rails. It's quad railed, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the top. This just has a single rail on the top. I'm going to explain this handguard in a minute. But if this has rails all around, yeah, you do get more versatility to put stuff in places. But if you're not law enforcement or military or plan on having some sort of laser designator and a foregrip this and a grenade launcher that, there is no reason for that quad rail handguard. All it's going to add is forward weight and add bulk and make it feel big in your hand. This, I think, is the best of both worlds. Free floating aluminum tubes. There's no weight on the barrel because it's free floating, which could help in accuracy. Most versatility for accessories because you can add rail sections anywhere you want without adding a bunch of weight. If you've seen already, I've got a little sling swivel right there with a QD point for adding a sling. I added that rail section there because I wanted to. If I wanted to add one up front for a light, I could do that. I could easily put one right there. If I wanted to put one on the side for whatever reason, I could. But if I don't, all these little cutouts here where this metal is taken away takes away the weight. If you look at this through the camera, you're probably like, oh, that's really heavy. But if you look, I mean, this rifle is super lightweight. I can easily maneuver it with one hand. It's also really, really thin for my support arm here. Makes it very, very shootable, very easy. I love this kind of handguard. And then the last option for handguard is you can get like a kind of military spec type handguard. You can add rail sections if you find the right company where you can do that, but it's not as versatile as aluminum tube. So this one on my 20-inch, I have just a mil-spec type handguard. It's got heat shields under here, long pieces of metal just to prevent the heat from getting into the handguard and messing with your hands. Add a rail section here at the bottom for a bipod, but it's obviously not as versatile as this one, but it's still plenty good. Another thing to consider if you're getting a free floating aluminum tube is that you need a low profile gas block up here on the front. Whereas that fixed sight post right here on this 20-inch, you have to really take that into account, make sure your rail doesn't go past that point at the front because it won't fit. So really personal preference, I really like this handguard, but for a long range gun, that doesn't really bother me. Does it matter that there's weight on the barrel with this handguard because it's not technically free floating? People make a big deal out of it. I have not seen it. This thing will shoot half-inch groups easily at 100 yards. It's a very accurate upper. So I don't really buy into the whole free-floating thing being that big of a deal. I guess where it could matter is that there's no heat transferring from the barrel directly to your hand besides going through the air, which is a really good insulator. It's going to have to go through this receiver to heat this handguard up. So I guess you would get a little more heat dissipation from a free-floated barrel. Do you want a bipod? Well, if you don't plan from shooting from a prone position for large amounts of time, they're unnecessary and add weight. Anytime I see a 16-inch AR with a fixed bipod that you can't take off, I just laugh. Because when you think about it, unless I'm actually going to lay down and shoot my rifle for a long time from a prone position or from a bench, which this 20-inch AR is made for distance, there's no reason for it to be there. It would add forward weight. Like I said, forward weight, the worst place for weight to be is at the front of the gun. And it would just add unnecessary bulk and just make the gun heavier. This is a defensive carbine. There's no reason why I need a bipod for this thing. You need to think about what the rifle's designed for, because if you try to get your rifle to do a bunch of things okay, then you're not going to have a rifle that can do one thing very well. This is a close range, like home defense type defensive carbine. So it's good for that purpose, but there's no reason for me to put a bipod on it because I don't plan on extending its range out that far. So that's something to think about. Foregrips. I like angled foregrips and hand stops because my thumb positioning is similar to gripping a handgun, and I don't like vertical grips because I don't have as much control over the gun. So, an angled foregrip, I don't have one here. I had an AFG on my Bushmaster ACR review. I'll link that for you. I like having my thumbs positioned like they are similar on a pistol. That way I don't have to mess with, my grip as much. My left hand, my thumb is forward and up like this, and then, my right hand, my thumb is up and forward, and my left hand, my thumb is forward too. When I shoot a pistol and I aim it out like that, my thumbs are along the side of that frame, and that's how I shoot it. So I have a similar grip with this one. I'm able to drive the gun into my shoulder and get that thumb there. So I don't like vertical grips because when you hold it like this, you get this possibility of, having all this rotational motion, whereas you have a lot more control of it when you have your entire hand around the handguard like this. You get your entire hand around the barrel, and you can get it farther out if you need to for more stability. So I like hand stops too, which is basically like just a little wedge. Some companies make that because, again, I want to drive the gun into my shoulder so I can have, much more control over this, and I don't want a vertical grip for all this rotational motion here. So just some things to consider. So this is the next part of it. So if y'all have any questions, just post in the comments. Thanks for watching.